So she will be dealing and explaining and giving tips how to handle our life better with respect to my mental well-being and etc. Today we will deal the topic of examination fear, how to deal the tips and vagara to the children, and who doesn't have the fear of examination. When a person is kept under scanner, when a person is tested, we all went through we have been through this. So since it's a examination time all over, I have requested the Bhaktiji to take the this topic. But before we dive into the topic, I'll ask Ashuji to do the morning prayers.
Thank you, Vamsiji. Good morning, everyone. Sir ko pranam. We all know that Sir has worked day and night during COVID, but we don't know from where he was getting so much energy. No doubt he was concentrating all the time on one thing, and that is God. He was always connected to him. Let's say this mantra today, Shivoham. Shivoham is one of the main mantra of the Shaivism branch of Hinduism. Meditating on this mantra is believed to lead the yogi to an understanding of his true nature and higher self. This mantra says, I am that very person. I am Shiva. I am what he is. Let's chant this mantra together. Shivoham, 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 Shiva Swarupam, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shiva Swarupam, Nityoham, Shuddhoham, Buddhoham, Muktoham, Nityoham, Shuddhoham, Buddhoham, Muktoham, Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ashuji. Thank you for that beautiful, soulful morning prayer. Now I call upon Bhaktiji to take over the charge and give us a few tips how to handle stress we went through the examinations.
Good morning, everybody. The exams are going to start, I think, in the next week. Some have started today. And it's unfortunate that this exam, the 10th grade exam, becomes the most important exam in the children's lives. I also feel that apart from the fact that it becomes most important, I think the kind of pressure at the age that they are at is not conducive. It's not good for them. But it's unfortunate that we have to go through this and the children have to face this kind of judgment at 16 years old. Here's hoping that the government does something. Today we're going to talk about what to do when you are stressed during an exam. I'm going to share slides now. Can you see them, Vamsiji?
Yes, Bhaktiji.
Can you see the next slide?
Yeah.
No. All right. So we're talking about coping with exam stress. The thing is that exam stress is a very real thing. We all have faced it. But unfortunately, with our children, the exam stress is also coupled with high expectations from peers, from themselves, from parents, from family, from neighbors. And the expectation nowadays is that they should get 98% आना ही चाहिए. 95% के ऊपर नहीं आएगा तो ये वाला कॉलेज में admission नहीं मिलेगा. Now the difference between us giving our 10th standard exam and them giving the 10th standard exam is that we did not have to face that kind of an unrealistic expectation which they have, and therefore there is more stress than what we had. Okay, so what happens when you are stressed before an exam, right? The vision becomes blurred. The cheeks becomes flushed. This is a very classic example of a child who is very overwhelmed, right? पूरा ऐसा मुंह लाल हो जाता है. Mouth becomes dry. Hands are shaking. Feet are sweaty and shaking. They will constantly shake. Head hurts. Headache is the most common response to exam stress. Headache, stomachache. Echoing sounds, sweaty palms, shortness of breath, heart is pounding, nauseous, loose motions ho jana is also a very classic thing. Stomach ache hona, very classic. Brain fog kind of thing where कुछ याद नहीं आता है. बच्चे ने 2 साल तक एक ही पढ़ाई की है. And this is very important to understand. We start training our children for the 10th standard 1 exam. We start training our children from the 9th grade. 9th standard से वो वही पढ़ाई, वही subjects, वही chapters, वो 1.5 साल तक पढ़ते हैं. And then when they come to the last day on the exam, they feel मुझे कुछ याद नहीं है. It's very classic. Also feeling overwhelmed is very classic. So these are the markers of when the child is feeling stressed. Okay, now we've spoken about stress before and I'm telling you again, there are 2 kinds of stress. There's eustress and distress. Now, one stress is a good stress. जो exam के पहले 1-1.5 घंटे पहले होता है, where you are excited plus scared कि क्या होगा. ऐसा लगता है कि मैं सब कुछ भूल गया हूँ, बट जब भी पेपर सामने आता है तो you start writing. That's a good kind of stress. थोड़ा सा stress. Distress is where you are completely overwhelmed, you start shaking, you start crying, and that it almost goes to a panic stage. Now that is a problem. Okay. Now, why do we experience this exam stress? Okay. ये actually सबको मालूम है, मगर I'll just read it out. ये कुछ नया नहीं है.
Bhakti ji, slide change करना.
You can't see the slide?
No. Close it and reshare again.
You could not see the second slide also?
No. First slide, top first slide.
Can you see the slide now? Can you see this slide now? The one with the boy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this was the slide of what happens when you are stressed, right? Why do we experience it? They worry that they will fail. Obviously, that is a very real stress. They don't feel prepared. भले 1.5 साल तक आपने एक ही पढ़ाई की है, मगर फिर भी आपको ऐसा लगता है नहीं मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है enough. You are not prepared. आपने बिल्कुल पढ़ाई की ही नहीं. That will also give you stress. You really want to do well. Now you really want to do. A lot of children put a lot of pressure on themselves. They feel कि मुझे इतना तो आना ही चाहिए. The parents may not care. Like हमारे time में, my parents did not care कि कितना percentage मिला. I got 72%. मेरे नेबरहुड में मिठाई बटी थी. अभी अगर 72% होगा 10th ग्रेड में, तो द किड विल बी सो अपसेट कि उसको किधर एडमिशन नहीं मिलेगा. So there was less expectation when we were studying. Don't have time to study, okay, need to get a certain result. Now there are some children who are sitting for a competitive exam. उनको डॉक्टर बनना है, उनको लॉयर बनना है, उनको इंजीनियर बनना है, उनको you know whatever, that is a specific result that is needed for that study, and that gives them stress. They don't think they will do well. They find it hard to understand what they are studying. They feel pressure from the family to get good marks. They feel they need to compete with others. This is very important. मेरे friend को 92% आए, मुझे 92% आए, मेरे friend को 98% आए in the prelims. Now prelims are your mock exams. ये जो prelim और final exam के बीच का जो 1.5 महीना होता है, उसमें बच्चे खाते नहीं है, पीते नहीं है. They keep on studying because मेरे फ्रेंड को इतने परसेंट आए तो मुझे क्यों नहीं आए. Okay, have other things happening in their life. So there are some children who have, everybody is not fortunate that they can concentrate only on their studies. There are other children who have other things happening in their lives. For example, family issues or financial issues or whatever. How to deal with stress. Now this is very, very important. Stress to hoga hi. There is no, unfortunately, the children who are not stressed is excellent. They are a really small breed and a very small tribe, and the children who don't feel stressed. But there are ways to see that you don't feel stressed. Okay, exercise is very important. सुबह आधा घंटा घर से बाहर निकलना is very, very important, so that you can clear your mind of other things. Especially जब भी आप एक एग्जाम दे के आए हो और वो अच्छा गया, बुरा गया, उसमें क्या क्वेश्चन छूट गया, उसमें क्वेश्चन नहीं आया, that keeps playing on the child's mind. और the next exam जो शायद next day हो या 1-2 दिन के बाद हो, वो that keeps on playing on the children's mind. अगर exercise कर लेता है बच्चा आधा घंटा घर के बाहर, it's very important that they move out of the area of stress. घर के बाहर अगर, तो ये जो he's mulling over his past papers, ये चला जाता है. Quiet time, this is very important. मैं meditation नहीं बोल रही हूँ because meditation for children is very difficult because their body is not made for meditation. Okay, their body is not, their mind has to be trained for a very long time to be able to sit in one place and be with their thoughts. But quiet time is very important. Put away the phone. Okay, this is also very important. ये phone बहुत distract हो जाता है, तो अपना you kind of have self restraint and self discipline कि मैं पढ़ाई के टाइम फोन नहीं लूंगा, नहीं तो फ्रेंड्स भी बहुत डिस्टर्ब करते रहते हैं. यू नो, तूने तेरा कितना हो गया, तूने कितना पढ़ा, ये पढ़ा के नहीं, वो इम्पोर्टेंट है, ये इम्पोर्टेंट है. यू नो, आई मीन they are well meaning everybody, but फिर भी it's important to put away your phone. Keep fixed schedules. This is very important. Your body and your mind has to be ready every day at a particular time to gain knowledge. Okay, so keep very fixed schedules. सुबह इतना टाइम पढ़ूंगा, which if you are going to get up at 9 and study, then get up at 9 and study. Don't get up at one day at 10 o'clock, one day at 11 o'clock, one day at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, keep a fixed time. Find a quiet place to study. Take frequent breaks. ये बहुत important है. जो parents हैं वो बच्चों को बोलते हैं 4 घंटा से एकदम एक जगह पे बैठ के पढ़ ले. That for children is not possible. It is not them. They are not made that way. So every check, I always give them a like a schedule that says every half an hour of studying, okay, get up for 5 minutes, walk around, come back, and do that compulsorily, because then your mind for those 5 minutes opens up to all the other inputs and the distractions that the environment is given you. Okay, nahi to आधा घंटा you are blocking it completely. That is only so much that your brain can block it for. Okay, then they'll start dreaming, daydreaming. So breaks are very important. Okay, self rewards for motivation. जैसे आप instead of the parents saying मैं तुझे ये बना के दूंगी अगर 4 घंटा तुमने पढ़ लिया, या मैं तुझे ये ला के दूंगी अगर तुमने 4 घंटा पढ़ लिया, instead of that, see that the children are motivating themselves. Listen to music during your breaks. That's very important. Sleep for at least 8 hours. And this is the most important thing. 8 घंटा आपको सोना ही है. It's very very important. जो बच्चे 2 घंटा सोते हैं, जो पूरी रात नहीं सोते हैं, they are really heading for trouble. It's very important क्योंकि आप कितनी रात नहीं सो पाओगे, है ना? तो चलो एक एग्जाम के लिए आपने पूरी रात नहीं सोया, आपने एग्जाम देख के आए, and for the next exam now you're so tired that your body will want more than 12 hours sleep because you've deprived it for so long. So it's important to sleep at least for 8 hours. Eat healthy. Eating is very important. It's important not to skip meals. बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा जब भी स्ट्रेस में होते हैं तभी उनको खाना नहीं खाना होता है. Offer them fruits if they don't feel like eating, they're feeling nauseous. If they ऐसा लग रहा है कि पेट में गड़बड़ है और पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, तो offer them fruits. But it's important for them to eat. Talk to friends who motivate. अभी you have all kinds of friends. और there are some friends who will tell you नहीं हो जाएगा, कर ले, ये इतना फिनिश कर ले, फिर बात करते हैं, हो जाएगा, don't worry about it. And there are some friends who will tell you, अरे ये नहीं किया, अरे तू तो फेल होने वाला है, अरे ये नहीं हो गया तो फेल होने वाला, अरे ये वाला है तू वो छोड़ दे, ये वाला जो है बहुत important है, ये कर ले. Those kinds of friends, well-meaning friends, they're not bad friends, but those kinds of friends for some time keep away from, because you don't need them at this time. Ask for help when you need help. Ask for help. The last one, हमें समझ नहीं पड़ता है, मगर it's very important कि हम organized रहे. एग्जाम के एक हफ्ते पहले whatever you need for every subject, जैसे मैथ के लिए आपको ग्राफ पेपर चाहिए, जैसे साइंस के लिए आपको ब्लैंक पेपर्स चाहिए, ज्योग्राफी के लिए मैप्स चाहिए, whatever you need needs to be organized 1 week before so that you're not cramming at the last minute. Also, जब भी आप पढ़ रहे हैं, see that the area is decluttered. ऐसा नहीं कि सारा टेबल के ऊपर सारा जमा किया हुआ है. That any clutter in your environment will clutter your brain. That is very important to understand. Okay. Now जो मैंने बताया है ये तो सबको मालूम है. Now this is a very important thing. Different styles of learning. Okay. Now there are different people learn in different ways. There are children who learn in are visual learners, जो देख के aids जो है देख के उनको समझ में आता है और पढ़ पाते हैं. They want to see the book, they want to see the board, they want to see films, or they want to see videos on the subject matter. वो लोग अगर देख लेते हैं तो that gets imprinted in their brain and they are able to reproduce better. Okay. Then there are the auditory learners. These learners are also very very this type of learning is very important and normally goes together, visual auditory. Okay. इसमें अगर बच्चा सुन लेता है तो can reproduce. There are, if you will notice there'll be lots of children जो क्लास में they will pay attention और अच्छे मार्क्स ला सकते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि जब भी टीचर पढ़ता है और जब भी टीचर की बात वो सुनते हैं या डिस्कशंस क्लास में सुनते हैं, that gets imprinted on their brain. So these kind of learners are auditory learners. Some people need to write. जैसे मुझे I have to write to remember. And there are lots of children जो notes बनाते रहते हैं. They will write each and every answer. They will write the whole chapter. लिख के उनको याद रहता है. Then there are kinesthetic learners. Okay. Now these learners have to do everything with their own hand. जो अगर किसी और का notes उनको दे दिया तो उनको नहीं जमेगा. वो खुद लिखेंगे. उनको they will manipulate. They'll do their own research. They would manipulate things, hands-on things, and learn from their manipulation. So these are 4 kinds of learners. It's very important to understand that what kind of a learner are you. अगर आपको पता हो गया कि मैं ऑडिटरी लर्नर हूं, तो very early in your studying you can record in your voice or in somebody's voice the full chapter. Now, for example, my daughter's in the 10th grade. She's an auditory learner. और हम क्या करते हैं, जब भी क्लास में उनका चैप्टर खत्म हो जाता है, लेसन खत्म हो जाता है, तो she reads it and she records it, or the teacher records it for her. So when that happens, she only has to listen to the audio again to remember everything that was taught in class, all the discussions that were taught in class. It's very easy for her to remember her things like that. Usko likhna nahi acha lagta hai like I do. So that is the way she studies. Now a visual person will remember, agar you will have lots of people who will tell you ye wala answer ye page pe, ye wali book mein ye page number pe hai. These are visual learners. They know exactly where that word is in the chapter also, because that vision, that picture is imprinted in their mind. Okay, so it's very important to learn how the child learns, to understand how the child learns, and once that happens, it's easy for the child to reproduce or remember. Okay, now just a few very quick tips to help the children. जब भी बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, if you can have any kind of a distinct smell around them, जैसे अगरबत्ती हो, which is different, जैसे citronella oil हो, जैसे whatever they like, and जब भी वो एग्जाम देने जाए, if you just rub a little bit of that oil or that smell on their hand, as soon as they will smell it, क्योंकि जब भी वो ये पढ़ते हैं, this smell has accompanied them when they are studying. When they go to the exam hall, if they smell it, the material will come back, especially when they're stressed. This is a very good tip and it helps tremendously. It helps many children. थोड़ा सा citronella oil लगा दिया जब they've gone for an exam, and then they feel that they know their subject matter. जो ये पहला fear हो जाता है ना कि अरे question क्या आएगा, what will I, how will I answer, I've forgotten everything. With this doesn't happen. So you are stimulating your smell, okay, your olfactory senses. So ये बहुत ही, it helps tremendously. Another thing that helps tremendously, of course, is being prepared. The more prepared you are, the less frightened you will be, the less stressed you will be. Now, बच्चों के साथ ये नहीं होता है. You can give them all kinds of logic and you can give them all kinds of tips, and वो जब भी उन्हें तरह में पढ़ेंगे, because this kind of stress, okay, helps them to study. Magar that for short-term memories, okay, for long-term memory, that becomes very, very difficult, especially in a 10th standard exam, जब भी आपको बहुत ज़्यादा material याद रखना है. So being prepared is very important. So see that there is motivation from the parents from the very start. Another thing, हमारे जो country में, we are famous for, Indians are famous for being very pushy parents when it comes to education. अगर आप बाहर जाओगे, there is an expectation from us Indians कि भाई हम तो डिग्री तो होगी ही, there's an expectation कि हम hard working तो होंगे ही, हम इतनी पढ़ाई तो की होगी ही. So I think all these kind of expectations, especially जो हमारे parents का होता है, sometimes it's unrealistic because maybe the child just doesn't have it in him to study. And there are different ways of studying. If you identify that very early, that ये बच्चा नहीं कर पा रहा है और इसको इस सब्जेक्ट में तकलीफ है, या राइटिंग में तकलीफ है, या रीडिंग में तकलीफ है, या मैथ में तकलीफ है, from the very beginning it's important that the child gets help, and उसमें stress tremendously कम महसूस होता है. I think I am done with this. I'll take questions if there are any questions.
Yes, so one question is that there is another side to this. Students not at all feeling pressure, taking it very casual, though unprepared. Nowadays, we are seeing it more common. So is that okay?
I think it's okay. I think you're very blessed if you have children that are not stressed about the exam. Okay. I understand as a parent that is an anxiety कि अरे बच्चा पढ़ेगा नहीं तो करेगा क्या फेल हो जाएगा या कम मार्क्स हो जाएंगे कम मार्क्स आएंगे तो कॉलेज में एडमिशन नहीं मिलेगा अच्छी कॉलेज में एडमिशन नहीं मिलेगा तो उसके फ्यूचर का क्या थिंग्स लाइक दैट बट आई थिंक eventually if the child is inherently intelligent with I feel most are intelligent unless के उनको studying में तकलीफ है if the child is inherently intelligent, then वो कर ही लेता है. At least in my practice, I haven't seen any intelligent child not understanding the importance of the 10th standard exam. वो पूरे साल they are goofing. Last में वो लोग, I mean, you must have seen so many of people in your environment जो last में 90% लेके आते हैं, लास्ट में 95% लेके आते हैं, पूरे साल कुछ नहीं पढ़ा. These kind of children are the ones that you don't need to worry about. But if you have very in the beginning in the 6th or 7th standard found out that the child has a problem with a particular learning, उसको help देनी जरूरी है. Those kind of children don't study because it's too much for them. It's too much pressure for them. It's too difficult for them. So that is a different story completely.
Bhakti ji, you have said the 4 ways of learning student ke bare mein, but our examination system is more of a memory thing. So reading and writing might suit more with respect to the pattern of. Is that the thing?
No, so this is only for learning. Okay, so Jabi, this is only to gain when these kinds of the 4 methods of learning that I have spoken about, the 4 styles, it's only to gain the knowledge. Okay, reproduction to unko karna hi hai. I mean, there is no, unfortunately, in our system, there is no other option. कि आपको पढ़ना है, मगर children will remember better if they know their style. और जो लिखना है तो I mean that is the something. Of course, now the boards are coming with 20 marks of MCQ, which is very good. If the child has just gone through his chapter, he will be able to answer those 20 marks of the MCQ. The board is coming up with smaller, shorter answers rather than the long essay type answers. I think the board is evolving and the board is changing. Unfortunately, 25 years में एक चैप्टर चेंज नहीं हुआ है. जो मैंने ICSE में 10th स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ा था, ICSE I think 35 years, वही मेरी बेटी अभी ICSE में पढ़ रही है, which is so unfortunate कि हमने with the times बिल्कुल grow नहीं किया. So the board is changing. I think they're trying, even the new education policy is trying. Hopefully we'll do something better for our children, but as of right now, there is no other option.
Thank you, Bhakti ji. I hope we have answered most of the doubts and confusions in the minds of parents. So there aren't any more questions. So there are a few topics suggested. One question just popped up. Children with difficulty to read.
Children with difficulty to read, exam course, what is the best way to train? Is it train?
Retain maybe. Retain the things.
Okay. Children, if they have a difficulty in reading, like I told you, पढ़ें, आप रिकॉर्ड करके दें, उनकी जो टीचर है जो रिकॉर्ड करके दें. ये वाले बच्चे जो हैं, they are able to reproduce. The only thing is उनका रीडिंग में प्रॉब्लम होता है. So but this is something that and the board gives a lot of concessions to children who have a problem with reading, writing, arithmetic. The board is very all the boards across the boards are very sympathetic to children who have learning disabilities or learning issues. And magar ye jo learning issues hai, they start cropping up in the grade 6. Some even before, but grade 6 में बहुत prominent हो जाता है उनका जो difficulty है. तभी से board के पास से और school के पास से you should ask for concessions, and there are special educators who can really help you. वो एक साल भी अगर special education कर लें, वो खुद समझ में आता है उनको कि उनको कैसे पढ़ना है. So that is important to identify.
Aparna Bhagatji Pushre, my son is in grade 10. He dreams of joining an Ivy League, has been meritorious students throughout, but since the past 2 years, everything has gone for a toss. How to bring him back to the focus? Also, he doesn't agree for any type of tuitions or coaching. In spite of having his examinations the next day, he is so stress-free and I don't see him studying.
This child is going to surprise you, Aparna. Okay. If the child knows that he doesn't need help, ये tuition business सिर्फ हमारे ही country में है, and unfortunately, I understand that it is a source of income. Right? It is a source of income for many people. Excuse me, 1 minute. What happened to you, Raja? It is a source of income for so many people, the tuitions. But it is a really, I think, in our education, it's a bane for our education system. Because जो responsibility class में teachers की है, वो ये tuition teachers ले लेती हैं, and the child doesn't pay attention in the class. The child doesn't want to study in the class, or there's such a dependence on the tuition teacher that it's unfortunate. मगर ये जो responsibility जो teacher की है, but the buck needs to end with the teacher doesn't take that responsibility seriously, and only because of this, and the teacher wants to do. I mean, our teachers are so हमारे poor teachers बहुत try भी करती हैं, because when the children are not interested because of the tuition teacher, there's little that the class teacher the school teacher can also do. So I think the tuitions, I'm happy that your son doesn't need tuitions or doesn't want tuitions. And if he wants to go into an Ivy League, and if he's an intelligent child, you don't have to worry about it. Of course, Ivy League doesn't only mean marks. Aparna ji, if you come to the HTFI platform, I'll show you how to build a portfolio for your child. It's not only marks, right? It's a lot of other things. If you want to go into an Ivy League college, apart from your marks in the portfolio, of course, marks are very important. But apart from that, there are so many other things that you have to show the Ivy League school that you can contribute. And with a child like that, who's an intelligent child, who's a thinking child, I don't think you need to worry. Even if he doesn't go to an Ivy League college, you don't worry about him. He'll do well.
Thank you, Bhakti ji. Thank you for answering the queries. I believe there must be a few more questions, but not come in right time. So we will take other questions, doubts in another session also. So thank you, Bhakti ji.